Coming up on Good Morning Northwest, an Oregon resident has now tested positive for a variant of coronavirus that first showed up in the United Kingdom.
And it is a frosty start to our day. We have a few changes as we look ahead to your week. I'll have your forecast that's coming up.
From Camp KVUE Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and thanks for starting your work week with us. I'm Monica Petrozelli. Let's check in first thing with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls. Kristen, you have a good weekend?
Yes, not too bad. Yesterday was gorgeous. Sunshine. We had low 50s out there towards the afternoon, so soaking up some of that sunshine. Starting off this morning, though, if you are going to be out and about, I know a lot of folks have the day off, but let's get you started first with that live look. Legend Skycam Network there from downtown Yakima. We are looking at just a clear start once again. A little bit of some fog that has developed in some locations, but our temperatures right now, it is a very cold start, so some 20s out the door this morning with those mid-20s. Currently in the Tri-Cities over into Walla Walla this morning. We are starting off with those numbers also mid-30s, 29 for Hermiston, and then down to about 27 for Yakima. So yeah, as I mentioned, a little bit of some fog that has popped up, especially there along the eastern slopes of the Cascades. Tri-Cities this morning down to about 7 miles. But that high pressure system still going to be in place. So as we plan out your day today, we're looking at that mostly sunny sky, 41 degrees at lunchtime, mid 40s by later on this afternoon. So coming up, I'll take a look at a few changes that we can expect, and maybe rain, maybe a snow chance as well. Your full forecast is coming up.
Thank you, Kristen. Well, the COVID-19 variant from the United Kingdom has now made its way to the Pacific Northwest. On Friday, the Oregon Health Authority reported that a Multnomah County resident tested positive for the virus strain. The variant has also been reported in Utah, Colorado, California, Georgia, Florida, and New York. In Oregon, 2 inmates have died in the last week at Two Rivers Correctional Institution in Umatilla after testing positive for COVID-19. Two Rivers reported 268 active coronavirus cases as of last week, more than any other prison right now in the state. Thousands of seniors in Washington state are eager to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Take a look. This was evident by the long lines at the first mass vaccination site in the state. Over the weekend, thousands of seniors lined up in Clallam County to wait their turn. The local tribe director of health services says their rollout of vaccine to Group 1A was pretty sluggish, so they teamed up with other groups in Clallam County to open up vaccinations to the 70 and older group a little earlier. One man said his grandparents waited about 90 minutes before being turned away.
They showed up, they were about 15 minutes late. I think they missed by about 20 cars.
The tribe's health director says now they have a better idea of where to cut off cars, so next time people won't end up waiting to get turned away. And other counties in the state are also planning to set up mass vaccination sites. Pierce County's emergency management director says they're planning to have 3 large sites with space for 8 lanes of cars. She says the holdup is getting enough vaccine supply.
We're hoping to do like 4,600 vaccines a day as a starting point. So if we can get the supply chain moving, we should be ready to go.
Officials say vaccination sites could include large venues like stadiums. The goal is to get them launched by the end of this month or early February. And Washington's ag industry leaders say they want Governor Inslee to move farm workers and food factory workers closer to the front of the line for COVID vaccines. Their reasoning, because these workers' jobs are essential and can't be done remotely. A spokesman for Inslee said the proposal was being reviewed, but nationwide shortages of vaccine might complicate matters. Washington State is a major producer of apples, wheat, and other crops, and also has a large food processing sector that converts those crops into products. Those businesses say a lot of their work for the season begins in March, and they say they can't be delayed while workers wait for vaccines. Loren Culp, who ran for Washington State governor and lost, has withdrawn his lawsuit against Secretary of State Kim Wyman for alleged election fraud. Culp faced an uphill battle since his campaign was unable to provide evidence of election fraud. He said the lawsuit would have cost him millions with the risk of being thrown out. Seattle Children's Hospital is bringing in a big name to review its policies surrounding racism, equity, and inclusion. former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. This follows the November resignation of Dr. Ben Danielson, a pediatrician who said racism was a reason for his departure. Residents called on the hospital to begin an external investigation. Former U.S. Attorney General Holder will assess Danielson's claims and make recommendations to Seattle Children's. The hospital said the goal is to, quote, accelerate the pace of our existing work to become a truly anti-racist organization. At 5:05, check this out. What would you do with over $500 million in cash? There were no top prize winners in Saturday's Powerball drawing again, Kristen. Did you get your ticket
I have
yet?
not.
I know.
I have not.
Me neither. I still haven't either. But now the jackpot is at an estimated $730 million. Pretty good. The cash out value would be $546 million. The next drawing is Wednesday night, and if there's a winner, it would be the fourth largest jackpot in lottery history.
Okay, so a couple days left to get the ticket. So since it's Wednesday night.
Can't even think what I would do with that much money.
Not at all. I would give a lot of it away.
Yes.
I mean, you 700 and...
That's the best thing to do with it.
It is.
All right, let's take a quick break here in Good Morning Northwest. But first, let's take that live look outside.
And it is a frosty start to our morning. The sun is going to be back today, but a few changes ahead this week. Your full forecast is coming up.
Plus, Airbnb is doing everything in its power to keep violence out of Olympia ahead of President-elect Biden's inauguration. Details next. Welcome back. An important update for all you travelers. Starting January 26, all travelers ages 2 and up must show proof of a negative COVID-19 test to enter the United States. The CDC's new rule includes U.S. citizens. Both the PCR and antigen tests are being accepted, but you'll only have a 3-day time frame to get the test before the flight. More details can be found on our website, yaktrinews.com. And a popular vacation rental app is reviewing clients ahead of Inauguration Day. Airbnb said in a statement they'll review reservations of customers in Olympia ahead of President-elect Biden's inauguration. The company says it will report any guests with ties to hate groups to authorities. The Washington State Capitol, as well as other capitals across the country, have National Guard members on site if anything turns violent. And there won't be megabus service in Washington, D.C. until after the presidential inauguration ceremony. The bus service posted on Facebook that its routes in and out of D.C. are canceled until Thursday after the inauguration. Megabus says the decision comes due to restrictions in the city. They're one of more than 24 companies that was sent letters by the House Oversight Committee. Lawmakers are requesting that they take action to, quote, ensure services are not being used to facilitate violence or domestic terrorism. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, Parler's website suddenly reappeared online with a message from their CEO. What he had to say next. Welcome back, everyone. The social network site Parler is back online as of yesterday after Amazon Web Services booted it a week ago. In a comeback message dated Saturday, CEO John Matz writes, quote, "Hello world, is this thing on?" This implies Parler has a new hosting platform. Amazon says it removed Parler after its far-right members made threats of violence. A Whois search shows Parler's domain is now registered to Epic. That company works with another social network popular with the far right called Gab. In his message, Matt speaks to what he calls both lovers and haters. He says Parler is supposed to be a forum that protects privacy and enables free speech. Meanwhile, Apple is defending its decision to give the social media network Parler the boot. Apple, along with Amazon and Google, effectively kicked the platform off the internet in the wake of the January 6th Capitol siege. On Fox News yesterday, Apple CEO Tim Cook said the move wasn't about restricting free speech.
We have an app store that has about 2 million apps in it, and we have terms of service for these apps. We obviously don't control what's on the internet, but we've never viewed that our platform should be a simple replication of the internet. We have rules and regulations, and we just ask that people abide by those.
On his final full day in office, President Trump plans to issue around 100 pardons. That's according to 3 people familiar with the matter. The president will reportedly pardon white-collar criminals, high-profile rappers, and others tomorrow. On Sunday, the White House held a meeting to finalize the list of pardons. This is the last batch to be made unless the president decides to grant pardons to controversial allies, members of his family, or himself. The pardons are one of several items the president must complete before his presidency ends on Wednesday. And President Trump has not yet assembled a defense team for his upcoming Senate impeachment trial. Yesterday, Trump's campaign said, quote, President Trump has not yet made a determination as to which lawyer or law firm will represent him for the disgraceful attack on our Constitution and democracy known as the impeachment hoax, as he calls it. The Senate will consider an article of impeachment passed by the House last week, charging Trump with inciting the deadly riot at the Capitol. Some of the president's attorneys are warning that any effort to punish Trump for his speech on January 6th would violate his First Amendment rights.
Now, KapKView First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And hopefully you had a chance to enjoy some of the weekend. Yesterday was beautiful. The sun was back. We had temperatures in the low 50s. Now, as we move throughout the week, we're going to see temperatures falling just a little bit back closer to near average as we take you throughout the week. But a live look right now in downtown Yakima, we are looking at that clear start. Sunrise time today set for right around 7:30 early this morning, but we're looking at a little bit of some fog that has popped up this morning. Plan on a frosty start as well if your car is parked outside. You're going to need to scrape some of the frost off your windshield, but the sun is going to be back for today. And then we're looking at that sunset time, of course, a little bit later each and every day at 4:42 this afternoon. Now we're starting off this morning. Temperatures are in the 20s in many locations, mid-20s for the Tri-Cities this morning. 35 though in Walla Walla with those numbers right around that freezing mark in Pendleton. Ellensburg, you're up to about 40 degrees, and then Yakima, good morning to you. You're sitting in at 27. So we have a little bit of some fog that has popped up as well. Visibility in the Tri-Cities down to about 7, and then of course along the eastern slopes of the Cascades, we have visibilities less than a half mile for Cle Elum early this morning. So this will be the case, I think, the next couple of days. We will notice with this high pressure system in place, maybe we'll have a little bit of some fog developing each and every morning. But overall, it is pretty quiet out there on the radar and satellite here locally. And even as we zoom out, that high pressure system is in place. So we're not going to really have a whole lot of changes to our weather over the next couple of days. So with Futurecast, you'll see here enjoying some of that sun later on this afternoon. And then even for your Tuesday, still pretty quiet. This weather system staying just up to our north for your Tuesday afternoon. Might notice a few more clouds here and there for your Wednesday. And then on Thursday, still some discrepancies in some of our weather models. We have a system, at least right now, it's going to be further to our south, but one that we will watch. Could bring maybe a little bit of a rain-snow mix to parts of our area. But right now, calling it mainly dry, at least for your Thursday. And temperatures overall as we move throughout your week will hover right around average. Yesterday we were in the low 50s with that sunshine, so we're going to be a little bit cooler out there today at 45. And again, those low 40s as you move throughout the rest of your work week. So speaking of numbers for today, we're looking at 44 in Yakima with 43 degrees in Ellensburg. Mid 40s there in the Tri-Cities with 46 in Prosser and a high of 44 in Hermiston. And we're expecting those low 40s for Dayton, Walla Walla, and also for Pendleton. So it's going to be another chilly night tonight. Could see a little bit of some patchy freezing fog developing down to about 26 in Yakima and 27 in the Tri-Cities. So it's going to be a pretty quiet week ahead. We'll have those low 40s as we take you through Wednesday and Thursday. Even looking ahead to your weekend, it's going to get a bit colder, low or upper 30s there Saturday and Sunday. Might have that wintry mix moving in for the second half of the day on Sunday. And then your 7-day forecast for Yakima could start off each and every day there, at least Tuesday and Wednesday, with a little bit of some freezing fog. 40 degrees on Thursday and a partly sunny sky on Friday with the highs in the upper 30s.
Thank you, Kristen. At 5:20, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, a famed music producer and convicted murderer has died in prison. More details after this. Welcome back at 5:23. Grammy-winning music producer and convicted murderer Phil Spector has died. The California Department of Corrections says Spector died Saturday of natural causes. He was sentenced to 19 years to life for for the 2003 shooting of actress Lana Clarkson. During the trial, at least 4 women testified that Spector threatened them with a gun. Spector was widely known for producing albums with the Beatles, Tina Turner, Cher, and the Ramones. In 1972, he won a Grammy Award for Album of the Year as the producer of the concert for Bangladesh, and he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1989. Spector was 80 years old. Dr. Dre is back at home after suffering a brain aneurysm. That's according to People magazine. The rapper was hospitalized last week at LA's Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Before his release, the 55-year-old posted a shout out to the staff there. TMZ reports Dr. Dre will be getting around-the-clock medical care at home. Shortly after his hospitalization hit social media, burglars targeted his mansion. Police arrested 4 suspects and say that investigation is ongoing. Well, actor David Hasselhoff is auctioning off his car that looks like Kit from his 80s TV show Knight Rider. It didn't appear on television, and it's certainly not a talking supercomputer like the car in this series, but it's the actor's personal Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, styled like his vehicular co-star, complete with the colorful dash. The current bid is $500,000, far above the estimate. Hasselhoff says if the price comes in 25% above estimate, he'll deliver the car himself. That would be cool. He's selling various memorabilia until January 23rd.
I can imagine how this car is just going for the price tag that it is. I mean, look at the insides.
It's pretty sweet. I could see a lot of people wanting that to be their new ride.
That would be nice.
All right, coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, police are searching for a suspect after a man with a gun robbed this Kennewick gas station. Plus, Seattle police have arrested a man for making a bomb threat near an FBI building.
And it is a frosty start to our morning. I'll take a look at your work week and what you can expect if there's any rain chances ahead. Your full forecast coming up during the 5:30 half hour.
We're not pro-Trump, we're not pro-Biden, we're not here for a political reason.
Coming up on Good Morning Northwest, why a handful of armed demonstrators gathered outside the Oregon Capitol this weekend.
And it is a frosty and bitterly cold start out the door on this Monday morning. Look at what you can expect, and will the sun return? It's all coming up.
From Camp KVUE Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and happy Monday. Thanks for starting the work week with us. I'm Monica Petrozelli, heading straight over to Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls. Kristen, it was a bad day for my heater not to be working this morning.
No, I'm sure.
I did not want to get out of bed. It was too cold.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It is a frosty start. Very, very cold early this morning. Numbers are down into the 20s, so you will want to bundle up if you are going to be out and about early this morning. So let's get you started first with that live look. This is from Richland's Columbia Point, and we will have a little bit of some fog popping up in some locations, so just a heads up there as well. But a look at some of our current temperatures. We're down to 27 for Yakima, even for Prosser, mid-20s there in the Tri-Cities, and just above freezing for both Dayton and even extending down into Walla Walla early on. So visibilities in the Tri-Cities down to 7, Pullman less than a half mile, and then even over into Cle Elum and along the eastern slopes of the Cascades, noticing a little bit of some fog that has popped up as well. But that high pressure system is really going to keep things on the quiet side for today. So once that fog burns off, we're going to see that sunshine, some cooler temperatures though for the second half of the day today, the high temperature of 45. Look ahead to your work week forecast and what you can expect. Any rain or snow chances moving in. Your full forecast, Monica, it's coming up.
Thank you, Kristen. A crime update. The Kennewick Police Department is asking for help identifying a man involved in a bar fight. The suspect is described as very tall, around 6'7". Here's a grainy look at him. They say he was arguing with someone outside of 3 City Sports Bar in Kennewick around 10 p.m. Friday. They say the victim tripped and then was punched by the suspect. Police say another person then fired warning shots into the air. No one was hurt, but officers are asking you to reach out if you have any information. And the Kennewick Police Department is also searching for this man who robbed a gas station Saturday night. Around 7:30, police were sent to Rocket Mart at Canal and Edison for an armed robbery. The store clerk told police a man showed a handgun and then demanded money from the register. Investigators say the man was between 5'5" and 5'7", wearing this dark clothing you see here and a ski-style mask. Police say the man got away with cash and he hasn't been found yet. And KPD is looking for this woman accused of stealing electronics and assaulting 2 store employees on her way out. Surveillance photos shared by the department show the suspect wearing a gold face mask and pink and gray jacket. It happened last Monday, so if you can tell who she is, give Kennewick Police a call. Well, the FBI arrested a man in Seattle who falsely claimed to have a bomb. Police got word of the threat Saturday afternoon. They suspect the man set his car tires on fire near the FBI building before telling first responders that he had a bomb inside the car.
So it was a vehicle tire that was actually on fire. We believe that currently we're investigating to believe that he might have set that car tire being on fire. The fire department actually responded to the scene to put the tire out, and that's when they called officers to respond to the scene as well.
Now, even though the man said a bomb was inside the vehicle, a bomb diffusing robot found no explosives. The 34-year-old was later arrested. Law enforcement prepared for big crowds at the Salem Capitol in Oregon this weekend, but when the time came, only a few dozen people showed up. Megan Allison reports.
We're not pro-Trump, we're not pro-Biden, we're not here for a political reason.
This group referred to themselves as the Liberty Boys. One member did not want to share his name with us, instead giving a nickname, but says they planned this event for months. How come you did decide to be armed, openly armed out here?
Yeah, so again, it was a Second Amendment protest initially, and that was what it was planned to be back in, I guess, October or November is when we started planning this thing. We do armed protests somewhat often.
The demonstrator tells us he does not identify as a Trump supporter, but says he did support the break-in at the Capitol in D.C. Some people say that showing up with guns is inciting violence. What would your response be to that?
I would say that it is more reactionary than an aggressive move than anything else, just the way with things have been going, January 6th stuff. It's in addition to it being our own protection, we're here to show people that it is okay to be armed and, you can do it peacefully. We are showing that we are all armed and peaceful.
Others tell us, although worried about violence, they wanted to stand outside the Capitol in support of President-elect Biden.
Yeah, I worry. But I don't believe we're Weimar Germany yet. I don't believe that is where my country is yet. I do believe, if things keep going the way they are, I believe that, the violence will become endemic everywhere.
Police say the intelligence they receive on these events is never an exact science.
It is very difficult, so we do the best we can. We do like to operate on worst case scenario, be prepared for the worst, and then just hope for the best. So that really is our philosophy in this. But it is difficult when the information intel is so changing.
Nearly 400 members of the Washington State National Guard have been deployed to the presidential inauguration at the nation's capital this week. President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will be sworn in on Wednesday. The extra security comes in the wake of the insurgents at the Capitol and threats of more violence. The majority of the 20,000 National Guard troops headed to D.C. for the inauguration won't be tested for COVID-19. Many were deployed on short notice during a time when the U.S. has experienced its deadliest 2 weeks of the pandemic. The National Guard says the troops will undergo temperature checks and wear face coverings, but testing will only be done on a case-by-case basis. D.C. health officials are concerned because the virus can be spread by people without symptoms. Troops are expected to try to maintain social distancing, but if there is more violence at the Capitol, that may not be possible. Back here in Washington, Loren Culp, who ran for Washington State governor and lost, has withdrawn his lawsuit against Secretary of State Kim Wyman for alleged election fraud. Culp faced an uphill battle since his campaign was unable to provide evidence of election fraud. He said the lawsuit would have cost him millions with the risk of being thrown out. Seattle Children's Hospital is bringing in a big name to review its policies surrounding racism, equity, and inclusion. Former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. This follows the November resignation of Dr. Ben Danielson, a pediatrician who said racism was a reason for his departure. Residents called on the hospital to begin an external investigation. Former U.S. Attorney General Holder will assess Danielson's claims and make recommendations to Seattle Children's. The hospital said the goal is to, quote, accelerate the pace of our existing work to become a truly anti-racist organization. We'll take a look. A large mudslide took out part of a steep hill on Woodbay Island over the weekend. The slide just missed a row of homes perched on the shoreline. No structures were damaged, and thankfully there were no reports of any injuries. It's been a wet start to January with a series of storms that brought 2 inches of rain to the Whidbey Island area last week. It is now time to raise the flag here on Good Morning Northwest with the Pledge of Allegiance.
With schools pretty much closed, we still honor the flag each morning. So please send a photo or video of your child doing the Pledge of Allegiance to pledge@capkvu.com and we'll share it with viewers.
At Archibald's, we believe it's important to keep the traditions that have made our country great. We're proud to support Raise the Flag.
Welcome back. A heads up, more than 760,000 pounds of Hot Pockets have been recalled. There are concerns they could contain pieces of glass and hard plastic. Parent company Nestle said it received complaints about the contamination. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says the Hot Pockets shipped to stores nationwide in November. There has been one report of a mouth injury after someone ate one of the hot pepperoni pockets, according to the USDA. Thousands of Amazon warehouse workers are voting on whether to unionize. It's happening at the e-commerce giant's warehouse in Bessemer, Alabama, which is just outside Birmingham. About 6,000 full-time, part-time, and seasonal workers will be allowed to cast mail-in ballots starting February 8th. And if they vote yes, the warehouse would become Amazon's first in the U.S. to have a unionized workforce. The effort comes as the retailer has come under fire by some workers for not enforcing enough safety protocols during the pandemic. The social network Parler is back online Sunday after Amazon Web Services booted it a week ago. In a comeback message dated Saturday, CEO John Mads writes, quote, "Hello world, is this thing on?" This implies Parler has a new hosting platform. Amazon says it removed Parler after its far-right members made threats of violence. A Whois search shows Parler's domain is now registered to Epic. That company works with another social network popular with the far right called Gab. In his message, Matt speaks to what he calls both lovers and haters. He says Parler is supposed to be a forum that protects privacy and enables free speech. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, new projections are showing the U.S. could see 500,000 COVID deaths by the middle of next month.
Now, KapKVU First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls.
And welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. Beautiful day around the area yesterday. We had some sunshine. Temperatures climbed up into the 50s. Now today it's going to be a little bit cooler out there by later on this afternoon, but at least the sunshine will be back. Now we have a little bit of some fog as well that has popped up early this morning around the Tri-Cities. Visibility's reduced just a little bit. Now as we give you a look ahead to your day today, we're looking at a sunrise time at 7:33. If your car is parked outside, you're heading out next couple of hours, you will need to scrape off some of the frost that has developed early on this morning, but the sun is going to be back out. And we're looking at that sunset time for the second half of the day today at 4:42. So temperatures early this morning, we're down to about 25 in the Tri-Cities. Connell, good morning to you. You're at 27, mid-30s in Walla Walla. Hermiston now down to 29 and then 27 over into Yakima. So there is a little bit of some fog, as I had mentioned. As the fog develops, keep in mind with these temperatures below freezing, a few icy spots can be expected. So visibilities in the Tri-Cities down to 7, and then especially there along the eastern slopes of the Cascades, reduced visibility for Cle Elum, less than about a half mile early this morning. Clear and quiet though locally here on the radar and satellite. Ridge of high pressure has been building in. It was beautiful yesterday and we'll continue to see more of the same today, although temperatures will be going down just a little bit closer to near average for the next couple of days. So here's Futurecast. As you can see, enjoying some of that sunshine by later on this afternoon. Beautiful day still in the forecast for your Tuesday. Wednesday we could see a few more clouds moving in, and then Thursday, at least this weather model continues to show things dry. There are some trying to bring in a little bit of a wintry mix to the area, but at least right now, majority of this should be staying further to our south, so going for a dry day at least on Thursday. And as you'll see here, temperatures overall will be in the low 40s as we take you throughout the majority of the work week. 40 degrees there on Friday, and then a little bit cooler as we head into the upcoming weekend with some upper 30s for both Saturday and for your day on Sunday. So speaking of temperatures around the area for today, we're looking at 44 in Yakima, up to about 46 degrees in Toppenish. Mid 40s there in the Tri-Cities with Connell up to 41, Hermiston up to 44, and then 43 in Pendleton, and then 41 for Walla Walla and also for Dayton. So overnight tonight, we could see some patchy freezing fog developing. Numbers tonight dipping down into the mid to upper 20s. So there's your 7-day. A little bit of some morning fog each and every day there, at least Tuesday and Wednesday. Still pretty quiet Thursday and Friday. And then looking ahead to your upcoming weekend, we could notice a chance for a wintry mix to develop later in the day on Sunday. Of course, it's going to be a cold day at 39. And your 7-day forecast for Yakima should be enjoying some sun over the next couple of days. 42 degrees there on Wednesday. Upper 30s, though, as we head into the start of your weekend. A lot of sunshine on Saturday, and then that wintry mix again developing for your day on Sunday, as we're going to jump up to a high of 36.
Thank you, Kristen. President-elect Joe Biden says he's focusing on getting 100 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine within his first 100 days in office. This as the pandemic is claiming thousands of lives each day. John Lawrence reports.
As the U.S. prepares for a new president to take office with a plan to attack the COVID-19 pandemic, the nation's death toll is nearing the 400,000 mark. The incoming director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the U.S. has some dark weeks ahead.
By the middle of February, we expect 500,000 deaths in this country. That doesn't speak to the tens of thousands of people who are living with a yet uncharacterized syndrome after they've recovered.
As vaccines slowly roll out, the U.S. is struggling to get the upper hand on the pandemic, especially in parts of California, where state officials say Los Angeles is the first county in the nation to report more than 1 million cases. Around 14,000 of those have died.
It feels like you're waking up to a nightmare every day. It's hard to imagine that many people passing away, and each one of those is a story. It's a family.
The CDC reports at least 88 cases of a highly contagious coronavirus variant, first identified in the UK, were confirmed in 14 states, and that the country has yet to see the full ramifications of spread caused by holiday travel.
It's going to take weeks, if not months, to do the setup things that are necessary. We're all going to have to be patient. I do think we'll get there, but it's going to be hard.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
And a recent CDC model found that more than half of COVID-19 infections are being transmitted by people who aren't showing symptoms. On his final full day in office, President Trump plans to issue around 100 pardons. That's according to 3 people familiar with the matter. The president will reportedly pardon white-collar criminals, high-profile rappers, and others tomorrow. On Sunday, the White House held a meeting to finalize the list of pardons. This is the last batch to be made unless the president decides to grant pardons to members of his family or himself. The pardons are one of several items the president must complete before his presidency ends on Wednesday. And President Trump has not yet assembled a defense team for his upcoming Senate impeachment trial. Yesterday, Trump's campaign said the president has not yet made a determination as to which lawyer or law firm will represent him for the, quote, disgraceful attack on our Constitution and democracy known as the impeachment hoax. The Senate will consider an article of impeachment passed by the House last week, charging Trump with inciting the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol. The president's attorneys are planning to warn that any effort to punish Trump for his speech on January 6th would violate his First Amendment rights. President-elect Joe Biden plans to sign about a dozen executive orders on his first day in office. Details from incoming Chief of Staff Ron Klain indicate Biden plans to have the U.S. rejoin the Paris Climate Accord and will get rid of the travel ban on predominantly Muslim countries. He also intends to address the pandemic by halting evictions and student loan payments and mandating masks on federal property. Klain's memo suggests dozens more executive orders will follow. As for legislation, the first plan Biden is sending Congress is a $1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill that includes direct payments of $1,400 to Americans. When we come back on Good Morning Northwest, a disabled boy in Idaho is getting a special surprise. We'll bring you his story when we come right back. Welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. Starting January 26, all travelers ages 2 and up must show proof of a negative COVID-19 test to enter the United States. The CDC's new rule includes U.S. citizens. Both the PCR and antigen tests are being accepted, but you'll only have a 3-day time frame to take the test before your flight. More details can be found on our website, yaktrinews.com. And a popular vacation rental app is reviewing clients ahead of Inauguration Day. Airbnb said in a statement they'll review reservations of customers in Olympia ahead of President-elect Biden's inauguration. The company says it will report any guests with ties to hate groups to authorities. The Washington State Capitol, as well as other capitals across the country, have National Guard members on site providing aid if anything turns violent. And there won't be a mega bus service in Washington, D.C. until after the presidential inauguration. The bus service posted on Facebook that its routes in and out of D.C. are canceled from the end of last week until Thursday. Megabus says the decision comes due to restrictions in the city. Megabus is one of more than 24 companies that was sent letters by the House Oversight Committee. Lawmakers are requesting they take action to ensure that their services aren't being used to facilitate violence.
And at 5:55, let's get you over to that closer home forecast on this Monday. We're looking at the sun to return, although there is a little bit of some fog that has popped up this morning around the Columbia Basin. So we're looking at numbers this afternoon into the low 40s. 43 for Pasco into Kennewick, Basin City today at 42, or Burbank as well at 42 degrees. It is going to be a frigid start this morning, so make sure to bundle up there along the foothills of the Blues. We're looking at temperatures starting off right around that freezing mark, but we're going to be up to about 43 in Pendleton, Athena today at 42, Touchy at 43, and then Waitsburg climbing up to about 41 degrees. You can see Zilla this afternoon, a little bit warmer for you at 46, mid-40s there for Yakima, Union Gap. Again, enjoying some sunshine back around the area for today. And a little bit of some freezing fog early on, especially for Cle Elum. But this afternoon up to 41, Ellensburg 43, and then Vantage at 44.
Well, here's a story that is sure to warm your heart. A little boy in Idaho who can't use his arms and legs due to his illness will now get the opportunity to play outdoors like other kids. For the Wallace family, Saturday marked a special day as their son Teddy received a new off-road wheelchair. The Wallace family received a grant through the Challenged Athletes Foundation, and they were surprised with the Grit wheelchair for Teddy, which is the first of its kind.
We're really trying to push the envelope on innovation and saying, how can we get our kids out there faster so that they can fall in love with the outdoors just as quickly as their peers? Today was where we knocked down one of those walls.
Based out of Idaho, the Challenged Athletes Foundation helped nearly 4,000 people all over the world in 2020 with nearly $6 million worth in grants.
And that smile is worth it all.
It sure is. Having fun with all the other kiddos.
Yes.